sense of soul.
Hey Soul Seekers, it's Shanna. Journey with me to discover how people around the world awaken to their true sense of soul. Now go grab your coffee, open your mind, heart, and soul.
It's time to awaken.
Today, back on Sense of Soul, I have with me Amy Robeson. Amy is the host of Awakening with Amy. She is a master healer and spiritual mentor. She's an Akashic Records master skilled teacher with a rare ability to clearly communicate high spiritual concepts so her students become successful and powerful healers in their own right. Amy is devoted to reconnecting people to their innate divine nature so they can experience more joy, abundance, and love in their lives. She's a Sense of Soul affiliate, and she has become my dear friend. So it's an honor to have her with us again today. So please welcome Amy. So excited to see you. I love you. You know, you're one person that I met through podcasting who I swear is my soul sister.
I agree, my dear. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to chat with you.
Yes, it's been a while since we've had you on. And for listeners, if they haven't, they need to go back and listen to our prior episode. We talked a lot about ancestry because you and I have worked together with that. And you've been someone that I can call up to talk to about some weird shit because as you awaken, you're seeking people to have conversations.
Yeah, I think the weirder gets weirder. Like the conversations get even more weird because it's not logical or linear. And like when you're doing deep, deep work, some
Yeah.
strange things come up. And what's happening is we're raising our consciousness. We're raising our vibration. We're shifting out of old paradigms into new and finding ourselves, like truly, truly finding ourselves and like finding what our true frequency is and letting go of all the noise. And I love having weird conversations and I love chatting with you and just seeing where the conversation goes because half the time, whenever we end up catching up outside of a podcast, like we always are like, that's happening to me too. And
Yes.
and like we're always like,
Wow.
what's going on?
I know. I feel like sometimes I'm in a different dimension. You know, how they say we're moving into the fifth dimension. Like oftentimes I feel like I'm not on the same dimension as many people because they can't even understand me and I can't understand them.
Well, it's the noise, and you're not participating in the noise, and your body and your mind and your soul and your essence is wanting to participate in what is truly meaningful for you, because a
Mhm.
lot of the noise is not meaningful. Like, and just if you sat, because we have so much information now, and if you just sat and consumed everything you could possibly consume,
Mm.
which is a lot.
A lot.
Like there's a lot of noise. And so when you start protecting your mind, you start protecting your energy, and it's not protecting it from a fear base, it's protecting it from a place of love and a place of empowerment because you're like, this is my mind, this is my energy, this is my essence, and I must protect it at all costs because I don't want things going in there that can mess up my world. Like, and it's not that I'm ignorant or I'm choosing not to understand what's going on in the world because there are things that are really important to have an understanding, but like my husband is my source of news. Like he can tell me what's happening.
My kids are. Yeah.
And then I have other people that tell me what happens. And if I choose that it's important for me to look up the information, I will investigate it further. Otherwise, I always have people in my life that give me updates. Like they give me updates on the weather and they give me updates on news. And then I'll choose to participate in some news things where like if I get the urge like to look up something, but otherwise I have to protect my mind because what I'm here to do is self-mastery. And like you're here for self-mastery as well. And so if you're not protecting it, then you're letting someone else control what goes into it.
It's really hard right now, is it not? I mean, and I was so looking forward to 2025 because 2024 sucked so bad. So I was thinking to myself, I'm going to embrace the new year. And then I wake up to that news And you know what? Normally, I think I probably wouldn't have looked it up so much, but I am from New Orleans. And
Yes,
so
and I know
that
you
really
are.
affected me. I was like, and then I was like, wait a second, 3 in the morning, Bourbon Street, like none of my family's going to be on Bourbon Street at 3 in the morning or even on Bourbon Street at all because it is a dangerous place. But you know what I find is very interesting is that that city, as historical and beautiful as it is, has over the years gotten really bad. And isn't it
Mhm.
crazy that it took or it's taking the national awareness of a faulty system to be able to for the people to take back that city and make it to what it was. Sometimes that has to happen, and it happens in your own life. It happens in families. Sometimes it happens in our systems, and I think it's going to happen in the world too.
I think, it has to. Like sometimes we just have bad things happen to good people, bad things happen when they shouldn't, but it all ends up shaking out in a different way because why weren't those barriers up?
Right.
So now that person was fired and they're going to put someone in there that's hopefully newer or younger. I don't even know if they got someone new in there yet, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so someone was complacent in their position and didn't care about the safety. And so what does that look like? And I can't speak drastically on this just because again, I don't have a lot of stuff that I ended up looking up, but I do get the updates and things like that. And I just find it all very sad.
I
Sad
do.
for the families and
Mhm.
sad for the even everyone that's involved because that will create change that's necessary, but someone had to suffer in order for that change to happen. But that's that's the thing that when tragedy like that happens, the city does come together, the towns come together, the people come
So true.
together. And the same thing that happened with the hurricanes in North
Yep.
Carolina, like the
Floods.
city and the communities are the ones that are pulling together.
Yeah.
They're not waiting for governments to pull them together. The community is pulling them together. And
Yeah.
that's what this age of Aquarius is part of is like figuring out
Hmm.
what your values are, really, really cleaning out the darkness within you. Like, because everybody has both light and darkness. And when we work on our shadows, we can then work through some of the angst and the angers and the things that have not been processed in years and years and years or decades. And when we start giving ourselves permission to look at those things, then we can really change. Because
Yep.
you can't change while you're still brushing stuff underneath a dirty rug that's
And
has
they've
been
been
sitting
doing
down
that.
for years.
Louisiana's been doing that for so long, especially in New Orleans. They've many bad things have happened there on a daily. I
Yeah.
mean, they're like a murder capital.
Well,
And
it's
it's been,
fascinating. I think growing up, so I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I love the city. Like I lived downtown. I like my first perma was downtown. Like I loved it. And every time I go back there, I'm just like, there's so much. Like it's crunchy and it's noisy and it feels like metal grinding on my body. Like it's just so much. And that's the same
yeah,
here thing here in Nashville too. There's just
Denver too.
too much noise.
Ooh.
There's too much friction. And I'm not talking just physical noise, but there's just you can energetically feel when you're entering into the
Yeah.
city the chaos that the collective has within it. And we all participate in different collective energies. But I'm like, my husband always laughs because he's like, I'm gonna make you like a small town girl before you know it. Because like the older I get, the more I'm like, ooh, I don't like
Yeah.
I want to drive the opposite way of the city. And
Yes.
it's really sad because I love everything that has to do with like urban culture and things like
Mhm.
that. But it's just like my
Toxic.
soul, my energy system, because of everything, the work that I do with the Akashic records and healings and things like that. It's not good for my energy and it's not
Mhm.
good for processing and it's a way of protecting my energy. Like I have certain doctors I'm like, okay, I'll go to the city for it, but otherwise all my other doctors are away from the city because I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think I was talking to you one time when you were driving to Nashville or something.
Oh my God, girl.
Yeah, I mean, you were experiencing traffic, and I could like sense the angst inside of you. Yeah, I that's
Yeah,
kind
but
of funny that you said
it's
that.
like yeah, I was I was going crazy every time you left. And it's just insane. And then Christmas
Yeah,
time,
me too.
it was insane. I'm like, oh, and
Yeah.
then even where I live, it's outside the city, but like the everything is just becoming more and more and more and more populated.
Hmm.
And
Me too.
our infrastructure in the United States, for most places, we've outgrown.
Yeah.
And the cities, the streets, all of that, like it all needs to be updating. Like all of
Mm.
us. It's not only like, do we need to update our mind, but like our whole systems. And I think we were talking about this before we started chatting, but like everything, like we outgrow systems. So we need to create
Yep.
new systems. And like you need to actually stay ahead of where what that looks like. And so I always try like in my business and in my life where it's like I try to stay 2 years ahead of where a problem might occur
Mm.
because
Smart.
you are as good as your systems.
Mm.
And then I'll get growing pains and I'll be like, oh, I thought that system was good that I was like working towards, but then I'll end up shifting it out and changing it depending on what it is. But I think systems, and that's the thing that I love about the Akashic Records is you can go into the Akashic Records, ask for new systems, ask for guidance, ask for how to process something, especially if you're going into if you know you're an empath or you're sensitive and you know you're going to spend a lot of time with people or you're going to a concert, you're going to a party or you're going somewhere, you're having a hard time processing things, you can use the Akashic Records to help you with that. You can use the Akashic Records to help you with systems. And that's what, like 2025, I'm working on new systems.
I want to ask you that. So you hear a lot right now, timelines are shifting, or that we've entered a new timeline. Is there individual timelines and is there actually a collective timeline that can
Yeah,
shift for everybody?
definitely.
I mean, Mandela effect obviously proves this almost, but what's interesting is I know 100%. I mean 110%. I mean, I would bet my life, my children's life on this, that the day after Trump was shot at his rally,
Hmm.
I was outside watering my grass and listening to, I think it was the news or something like that about Trump being shot, because that was like heavy on,
For
listening to
sure.
all
Like
that.
it's
And it was all over. And so I'm
big.
watering the grass, listening, and the news commentator says that President Carter died. I remember calling my mom and saying, "Oh, did you hear President Carter died?" And she was like, "Oh, no." And I said, "Yeah, they said he was 100 and that his wife had just died like the year before or something, or, recently." I mean, I knew all this information. I know I had this conversation 100%. And then I find out he died just like a few weeks ago. I'm like, wait, what? Like, so did my timeline shift or, like, I mean, I'm serious. I would bet my I know 100% that happened.
Like it's so confusing because I don't, again, I did not fact check this, so I'm going to be very,
Yeah.
very clear. But like, I remember Bob Barker from The Price is Right. They said he died
Right.
and
He
all of this
died.
thing and all these news things. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he died at 99. And I'm like, wait, didn't he just die? Like, how many years ago did he die? Like,
Yeah.
so
So
it's
weird.
just, I feel that one, it's important to one, just trust the process because there's
Yeah.
so many things, and there is the Mandela effect. Like I do believe that that exists, and that sometimes we do end up having conversations that didn't happen on this timeline, but
Right.
they happened on a different timeline.
Or a parallel universe. I mean,
Yes. So I've been doing this since I was a kid. So people have premonition dreams all the time. It's deja vu. And
hmm
some people remember dreams, some people don't. And for me, I remember the first time I had a premonition, I was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
hmm
And when I had this dream, we lived on one side of the street, and then till I was 4, and then we moved across the street after
Oh,
that.
wow.
I was 4. So we lived on one side and then
Cool.
we lived on the other side of the street. So this is how I remember when I have stuff. So
Wow.
I had the dream before we moved to the other side of the street. Okay. So the dream was very simple. Like some people have like one of my friends, he has prophetic dreams about like people dying, and he's like very good at like understanding when someone's gonna die. Like it's
Wow.
amazing. Mine are always very normal everyday life things that happen. Like this first dream I had was like my mom came home, she brought us a lemon knickknack. The lemon knickknack was on the coffee table, it broke. And when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I remember having the dream. I remember waking up and I'm like seeing this knickknack on the table. I'm like, I've been here before. I remember this. And I'm like, and that's gonna break. And then I watch it break. Those are timeline hopping. So, like,
Yeah.
when you have something like that where it's like deja vu, I've been here before,
Mhm.
it's timeline hopping. And we do it in our sleep where we'll timeline hop down the timeline to see what's going on, what's coming ahead, refigure out what we want to do and how we want to do it, if it makes sense for us to do. And for me, like, anytime I have like a dream like that, like, we renovated our house in I think 21. And before when we moved in, the house was not ready, so we needed to go get an Airbnb because I had a 1.5-year old at the time. And I was like, we just need to go get this Airbnb. I book an Airbnb. I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling it. This other Airbnb I can get in sooner because I need to get my daughter in for a nap and I need to be at the Airbnb sooner. It's like all based on naps. So I canceled that
They're
one,
important.
go with the other one because the person messaged me back. And 2 days later, I'm sitting down in the kitchen in the middle of the night, like not middle of the night, it was like maybe like 9 p.m. But I'm like, I've been in this kitchen before. I had the dream being here. Like I remember being here. I remember
Wow.
making toast. I remember doing all of these things. And I was like, and for me, it brings me comfort because I know I've been here before and I'm on the right path. And
Okay. So it's
so,
like synchronicity or something to you.
yes, so everybody has different deja vu and like different ways that they work with the timeline. For me, the way that my
Mm.
particular being works with the timeline is like I go ahead and I do this in my dreams and I remember things and like I because nothing is happening outside of us. Everything is happening all at the same time. Even though we're on this linear timeline,
Right.
everything is all happening at once.
Right. So we're
And
getting
it's
glimpses of
we're getting glimpses of
other
moments
timelines.
in time.
Yep.
And there's parallel universes, and like we are multidimensional. We are alien beings from a different space and time. And so we all have different ways that we can connect with timelines and how they branch off and how we scatter and how we fracture. Because we're fractile. We fractile when we're upset about something, when we're overthinking something. And
Mm.
the main thing is like gathering your energy back and becoming whole and recognizing your wholeness and recognizing your essence.
Okay. So do you feel like at times when we are at a higher vibration, this is easier to do, or is it when we're in a lower vibration, or does it matter?
So, two things. Let me share from like the Akashic record perspective. So, and you don't have to use the Akashic records in order to timeline hop or anything like that, but I like using this analogy. So every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted is recorded in the Akashic field. And
Mhm.
then they have guardians of the Akashic records that we can ask for love and guidance and support. When you are in session with the guardians, your frequency is not at a level 10 the entire time you're talking to the guardians. Just like you and I talking to each other, our
Yeah.
frequency is not staying at a steady level the entire time. It fluctuates, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And we can go lower vibration, higher vibration, lower vibration, higher vibration. And what lower vibration, higher vibration depends on the person, depends on the moment, depends on the conversation, depends on the impact, depends on the relatability. Or, for example, like we were just talking about the thing that happened on New Year's Eve. That has a more massive impact on you than it does on me because you have family there,
Connection.
you're
Right.
from there, you have roots there. And so that impacts a little different, right? Doesn't mean
Right.
that my
Yeah.
soul doesn't hurt for
Yeah.
that and like there's not empathy for that, but it's different. So with the Akashic records, the way that I understand it is the guardians will always meet consciousness to consciousness, and they'll figure out a way to vibe with the ups and downs and help you raise your consciousness when you do dip. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong to dip in consciousness because we're having a human experience and it's really important to experience emotions. And if you're angry, your vibration's going to go to a different level to process that anger. And then once you process it, your energy is going to go back up if you give yourself permission to process it. And so for us, like when we're going through different levels of consciousness, going through different levels of time, your consciousness is constantly changing depending, even like in your sleep. If you're having a subconscious dream, your subconscious is working through things from the day or stresses and things like that. And your higher self, your God self, your magnificent whole self isn't going, wait, I can't stay high because you're processing
Right.
this low thing. Your higher self's going to figure out answers. So sometimes I think this is what how I feel and the visual that I'm getting to explain. So like sometimes I think like we can go into a subconscious dream or working through something in our daydreams too, where we're working through something and then our higher self goes, let me figure out the answer to that. Let me
You're
reassure you.
overthinking this.
Yeah. Like, no, let me reassure you. And so, like, then it brings back hope and inspiration. And like half the time we're in a daydream, so we don't even remember what that is. But then
Yeah.
there's glimpses of times where, like, oh, wait, I remember that. And just like you were talking about with the Carter thing, you remember that. There's no way that you don't
100%.
remember that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's glitches in the system. And
There is.
so the more that you awaken, the more that you're not going to be tricked out of the glitch.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, because honestly, there's been a lot of glitches around. I don't know if I
Good.
told you about that. I've seen birds like I have a video of like birds, like two birds,
He
two
talked
pigeons,
about
they're
this.
doves. Oh, did I tell you
Yes.
about that? They were just
Yeah.
sitting in the yard, not moving. Like
Yeah.
15 minutes. I went back out. They're still sitting there. I'm like, what the hell? Like my kids were even like, they're like some government birds, mom. I'm like, I don't know what they are. But I mean, like
Have
they
you
were
heard about the
just
helicopters though?
what that are just like not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what about the drones over on the East Coast? I mean, what is all of the
So you
things
could
that are
go
happening?
down like this whole rabbit hole of conspiracy theories,
But
and some of the
something,
conspiracy theories are so true.
Amy, it's like it used to just be a select few who would be paying attention to these things, but now it's on national news. The other day, like this was a headline. Two people died as they were hiking and seeking Sasquatch. This was the headline on national news. They were talking about it like it was just normal. There's been a timeline shift, I feel like collectively.
I think that people live in a fantasy world that don't understand that they still like they're wanting, and I don't know anything about that story with Bigfoot, right? But this is what I think is really important. People that are doing the work and are wanting to do the work, it's really important to stay present. People that are
Yeah.
wanting the next big viral video or something like that,
Yeah.
they're going and doing things that they're not taking precautions. Like you hear about these couples that are like, I need to get this photo and they fall off the cliff. Like,
Oh my
was that
goodness,
worth your
yes.
life? Was that
Yeah.
worth doing that? And to me, the answer is no. Like
Mm.
that photo, that 30-second video, that it's we live in a really strange time. And I think like I'm so
Mm.
grateful that you and I lived before the internet,
Yeah, for sure.
before social media, and because there's so much pressure now to all the smoke and mirrors and all these illusions of what people think life should look like. And that's why I was saying earlier about like you need to be protective of what you're consuming, because if you're not, you get wrapped up in that consciousness of keeping up with the Joneses,
Right.
keeping
It's a
up with
distraction.
Instagram, keeping up with the
Likes,
illusions
follow.
and likes
Yeah.
and followers and things like that. And
It's
I have
wasted
I
energy.
have an online business. I have a social media manager. I do not care about social media. Like I don't. And it's very addictive.
It
And
is.
it gives you dopamine, and so you're constantly chasing dopamine over and over and over again. And
Hmm.
so this protection of consumption is so important because we are so more connected now than ever before, but yet we are so disconnected.
Yeah.
And for me, for 2025 is really, really honoring and paying attention to how I'm spending my time. Like that's my biggest goal for 2025 is not only pure devotion to self and what that looks like, but what and how am I spending my time, and where are my blind spots on my time? Because I have tons of blind spots. We all have tons of blind spots on our time. And if you want to become more effective, you want to really move the needle in your life, you got to look and be honest with where those blind spots are so that you can change what it is that you are doing.
When you're having these glimpses, these remembering
Mhm.
synchronicities, dreams, all of these little clues that, there are other timelines that you're actually in at the moment. What do you do? I mean, to get curious about like why they're coming up for you in those moments, because it can't just be coincidentally, you
So
know?
So they all depend. In the past, they would take years for them to show
Yes,
up, and
me
now they're
too.
not. They are like sometimes they'll happen like 6 months later. Sometimes they'll happen a month later. Like sometimes they'll happen like 2 days later. It just depends on
Right.
what it is.
Okay.
And
Speeding up. You said this earlier before
yeah,
we
it's
got
all
on.
speeding
Things are
up.
speeding up.
So for me, it's I am on the right path, and
Mhm.
so everybody has their own different
Yeah.
things that they have. So, like my friend that has dreams about people dying, loved ones dying, this person has symbols and codes for what that looks like. And they understand their symbols and codes. That's the thing. Like you have to understand what your subconscious and what your symbols and codes are.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the Akashic records because it can help like understand and decipher those symbols and codes.
Okay.
And so that person dreaming about something like that, that's very, it's a premonition. Like you need to pay attention to your premonitions. I'll just use this as an example. So let's say you do dream about death. That could be learning how to bring acceptance to it, to spend good time with that person before it happens, to prepare the family. It could also mean that you're going to have some death of some sort. There are also other premonitions of like people getting lottery numbers. Like if you get lottery numbers, go play the
I
lottery.
wish I did
Like
that.
like some people do get premonitions of that stuff.
Amazing.
So like
Yeah.
to me, like I don't like using my psychic gifts to go and gamble. Like that doesn't feel good to me. But let me
Right.
tell you, if I had a dream that had a specific number sequence and I got guidance to go play those numbers, I would go and play those numbers
Mhm.
because that is spirit guiding me to go do something.
Yeah.
And like I'll wake up and I might have like this like strong urge to go do something that I wasn't even planning on doing before. I'm going to listen to that urge because there's a reason why I'm being guided
Yes.
to do that. And I'm a big believer in you follow the guidance of your heart. Like God dwells within you, the universe dwells within you, everything you are, there's a micro universe inside of your entire body.
Mhm.
And you can tap into that and be guided from within. And every answer you seek is from within, just like the Akashic Records dwells within you. Like everything is within you, and you can get that answers. And what means something to you can mean something different to me. And it's really important to listen to your internal guidance and really
Yeah.
study yourself. Because I know, like, I've gotten premonitions before of someone passing away too, and then I'm just like, what? Let me sit with this. Like, let me actually sit with this, because this is not the normal things that I get premonitions on. And so, like, because I know that that scares some people too. Like, I don't want to know if someone's gonna die. Nobody wants to know when someone's gonna
Yeah, right.
like.
Rather not.
No. However,
Yeah.
everybody's gifted with different gifts, and if you don't like your gifts, send it back. Like,
I'm returning
seriously.
this gift.
I don't want this gift. And Spirit will be like, okay, just like, have you,
Exchange.
yeah, it's like Elizabeth Gilbert, like in her big magic book, where she
Oh.
talks about like a book coming to her, like a big idea, and then it like it's only going to stay around for so long before it's going to disappear. And so
Mm.
if that's consciousness. Everything has consciousness. Like your desk has a consciousness, furniture has consciousness, your computer has a consciousness. There is this energetic consciousness, and we are all tapping into collective consciousness. So, like inside of spiritual communities, there's different pockets of
That's
consciousness.
true. Yeah.
Inside of different, if you take
Mhm.
Christianity and then take all the different types of Christianity,
Mm.
right? There's all
Yeah.
different types of consciousness in
Different vibes.
and so we are always participating in different consciousness. And so it's up to you if you want to participate in something or not. And sometimes it's very unconscious that you're participating in old indoctrinations into old
Mhm.
consciousness that you don't agree with anymore. But that's why you have this conflict it going on within you,
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't believe that, but you're still plugged into that consciousness. And
Mm.
so you got to learn how to unplug.
Right. And a lot of that is ancestral or in our
Yes.
DNA,
Yes.
in this life. We're so multidimensional. There's so many layers of healing that needs to be done, in so many different multi-dimensions. But what's interesting, and I was thinking about this when you were talking, I was thinking about how important it is to like discern. So, something comes through, or a bird dies on your porch, like, I've used that as an example, really happened terrible. And, what it meant to me was very deep because I was studying, the dove was showing up for me a lot, signifying Sophia, the Holy Spirit. But if that happened to my neighbor, they would have thought maybe a plane hit it, or, I don't know, but it wouldn't have had that connection. So sitting with your body, I mean, I had in the immediate emotional my whole body was experiencing that. So I know that that was something. And so paying attention to that, but it took forever for me to figure it out. So kind of like how you said it. And I agree with you, by the way, things are speeding up. I could call somebody and say, hey, you're a psychic. Maybe you can help me figure this out. Or I could, hey, can you look into my Akashic records and see? Which is wonderful. But how important it is it in this time for you to start owning that for yourself, learning these modalities for yourself, because like you said, your Akashic are inside of you,
Right.
right? I mean,
So
yes, I mean, I think it's important right
I
now.
I think it is fantastic to go and ask someone for support. However, they are not available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not good people, at least. Like not really good connected people. Like,
Right? They're not going to be. If they're
but
not available,
regardless, like you're first off, it's important to do your own work. Someone else can only lead you so far, and you still have to do your work. Just
yeah.
like I can teach you the Akashic records, but I can't make you practice. Like
Mhm.
I can't make you practice whatsoever. And so one of the reasons why, like in Sacred Awakening, which is my Akashic record program, I've had so many people ask, can I just learn how to open the records for other people? Or can I just learn how to open the records for just myself? And I never separated the two. And this is the reason why. It's really important to learn how to get your own answers on demand because there are times in your life that you have something going on that you need support with, and you need support with now, not next week, not in a day from now, not an hour from now, but now. Like you need to go deep dive and you need some support. And then the other thing is often I find that it is easier to give to others than it is to give to ourselves. And
We're wired
so
that way.
the reason why I don't separate the two, because I have some students that want to become certified practitioners, and I have some students that don't. However, when you practice giving readings to other people, it deepens your connection into your own records, and you start understanding and receiving deeper clarity in the messages you're receiving for yourself, because it's so easy to go like this and start channeling advice for someone else than it is to go and get that answer for ourselves. And so the more you practice, the more it becomes easier to have self-mastery. And the guardians are there to support you. And I know like some people are like, well, is it cheating? It's not cheating because what you're doing is you're taking time to reflect and ask deep questions that you need support with and that you want support with, and that they're assisting you in understanding what your options are, and they're assisting you in understanding different perspectives, because so often we get tunnel vision, like this is my only way that I can get out of this mess, or this is the only solution to this problem, or this is the only way I know how to communicate with my partner. And what they'll do is they'll broaden your perspective. They will go, hey, have you considered this? Or hey, here's another alternative to this perspective on why that person might have been communicating in that particular way. And this is how you can communicate differently to have a different result. And everything in life comes down to the questions we ask. Because if you're not asking questions and you're just going with whatever everything is wanting to happen, like anybody that wants to do something and you're just like, okay, I'll go with that. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. And you're not asking questions, you're going to get yourself in a world of hurt. Someone's going to take advantage of you. Or have you ever like a good example of this too is like, have you ever signed a contract and you're like, man, I should have asked that question. Like, I wish I would have asked that
Yes.
question. And the thing that I love about the records is they assist you in becoming an amazing question person. Like, because everything in life comes down to curiosity. Are you curious about that? What makes you tick? What makes you wonder about that particular topic or that particular conversation or that particular person or that particular project or that particular idea? And the more you get curious about things, one is it brings down this angst or crunchiness or these high level emotions that you don't know how to process because you're not in a place of curiosity, you're in a place of defense or offense, whatever it is that how you're showing up in that particular situation. And one, you don't want to be on defense all the time. Like that would be exhausting.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like for me, instead of getting upset about something, like let's say someone says something to you and you're like, that was a really cruddy thing to say to someone. And then you're internalizing what they said and like feeling like you did all these things wrong because that's what people do. They spiral. And instead, you go into a place of curiosity. It's like, I wonder what is going on in that person's life, on why they're reacting in that particular way.
Yeah.
And how is that impacting me being curious about that?
Wow. So it just changes your perspective. And so learning to be in that space in the akashic records and asking questions then brings that to your daily life, is what you're
Yes.
saying. I feel like we're at a time where people are very curious, and which leads to people reclaiming their own power. They're taking back their power by being curious, and not just following, everything they've been told, all the conditions of the world, religions, government, all the things. And when you're able to go into the Akashic records for yourself, whether it's for yourself or to help other people, you are really reclaiming your own power. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people message me and say, will you read my cards or do something like that because they don't trust themselves.
Yeah. This is something I think we all have done at some point in our
Oh,
life.
yeah, for sure.
And when we're growing, it's a part where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting confused, and this and that, and whatever. And if you're growing, you're going to have those points of confusion. And I think it's always nice to have a mentor. So this isn't saying that you don't have to have a mentor, but the guardians can become your mentor, which is really
Right.
nice. The masters, teachers, and loved ones can become your mentor.
Mhm.
And you can lean on your own inner compass and your own akashic records to receive guidance. And for me, everything is about self-discovery.
Mhm.
Do you want to discover something new about yourself? And how deeply do you want to have self-mastery? And I think that there are so many different modalities out there that can help you with that. And the Akashic Records is one of them. And the Akashic Records couples well with any other modality because it enhances the tool itself.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all about self-discovery. It's all about curiosity. And if you want to become a practitioner, you can become a practitioner. If you want to just use it for yourself, you can use it for yourself. I built my whole business using the Akashic Records.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. So, if I'm reclaiming my power by going into the records to find my own answers, then am I going to start doing that in my own life? Now I've reclaimed my power. I don't need to, call up Shanna and ask her to pull a card for me. I don't need to go to, well, sometimes you have to go to the doctor, especially if you have broken legs or something, but you don't always have to seek outside of yourself. Everything that you're doing in the Akashic and how you teach it and how they access all of this beautiful support and help, you bring it back into this life. So you're not relying on the systems as much because you know that you have all of the answers already within yourself. You make yourself a better business, right? You're more confident in the people's lives that you're touching around you, all of it.
Yeah, it's a life tool.
It is. I didn't realize that. I'm separating it. I've been separating it. So I'm separating this spiritual world from the living.
Yeah, no, it's all intertwined. And
So
it's
cool.
really cool because what I get to see is I'll have my students in Sacred Awakening, they'll come up and they'll be like, I'm a completely different person in less than 4 months. In
Wow.
4 months, they're a completely different person because they're thinking differently. They're thinking
Right.
differently about their life. They're thinking differently about their choices. They're thinking differently about their relationships. Their relationship with themselves is completely different.
Right. Okay.
And when you're thinking about relationship with self, relationship with others, and relationship with God, spirit, universe, whatever sacred title you give that sacred being, those are all three very important relationships that define your reality. And when you start shifting those relationships, everything starts to get better. And you start showing up differently, and your consciousness rises. And when consciousness rises, a new level of consciousness can meet you there to support you on your path. And magical doors start to open. And it's so magnificent. And it's hard to sometimes put into words because it's just things start
Right.
to rapidly change. And I've been teaching Sacred Awakening now 8 years. I've been teaching it since 2017.
Hmm.
And it's been like the records aren't static, just like we're not static. We're constantly changing and evolving. And every time I teach Sacred Awakening, I learn something new about the records
Hmm.
because they're evolving with time, just like we're evolving with time.
As they should.
Absolutely.
Right. I know. I always think about that. I'm like, the Bible is so outdated. I'm like, how can we still be living and many people still be like reading this like genocide and thinking it's okay? I mean, we have to evolve from it. Yeah, it is. It's odd that it's like you know what it seems like to me? It's like they took a timeline and they made it stuck in time and had us all be attached to that for millennia. And now we're breaking free from that timeline and now rereading it or looking at it. And we're like, what? That's like if you were to tell me to use a first cell phone or something, those big blocks. I actually had one of those, and if I was still walking around with it while everybody else is, you
Man,
know,
I would take my Nokia back any day.
yes, they were cool at the time. But, now we're walking around with ginormous internet, websites that can hold more files than I think even my computer can. It's insane. But
It really
that's what
is.
I'm saying. It's like that whole, like, there's many systems, I feel, that
There's
have
tons of
captured people's time and kept them there. It just is so weird to be awakened and look at it and going, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, wake up. So I love that that, and I agree with that. I'm like, I believe in Reiki, I teach Reiki, but I would never say this is the way you have to do it because this is what he said to do it, knowing that we have evolved way beyond. So make it your own. I give the people the power to, not have any limitations,
evolving.
no
I re
limitations.
it's funny because when I got Reiki certified, I became a Reiki Master teacher. And I'm like, I'm doing this online. I don't want to compete with all my teachers in town. Like, I want to do this online. And that was so taboo at the time
Oh yeah.
because I was going to do virtual attunements. And so, but now look at it. You
Oh
can get
yeah.
virtual attunement now any day. But that's the thing. You have to be you still
Yes.
want to play within spiritual laws. And I do believe that scripture, and I'm talking about any scripture, like not just biblical scripture, but like spiritual scripture that means something to you. It's all
Mhm.
open for interpretation.
Right.
And you can use the records to actually unpack it and understand it in today's terms. You want to pick what resonates and leave behind the rest
Mhm.
because, like, I love all sorts of different spiritual modalities. I love different religions for different reasons. I take what resonates and I leave behind the rest
Mhm.
because not everything fits inside of a perfect little box.
Nope.
And being in the United States, we are a melting pot. Like we come from many different cultures, many different backgrounds, many different philosophies, many different places in the world as well. But choose what resonates and leave behind the rest. And it is okay to let go of beliefs from your childhood. Like it's perfectly okay to let them go because they do not resonate with you
Yeah.
anymore. It didn't resonate with your soul to begin with. I think that we have to evolve with time.
Mhm.
And I think that for some people, organized religion works really well, and for other people, it doesn't. I didn't grow up in organized religion, so I don't have that um for lack of a better word, baggage that some people do have.
You don't have the religious trauma syndrome like I do?
No, I don't. But I have a lot of clients that do.
Mhm. Yeah,
And so it's a big thing and
it is.
it can feel gut-wrenching going against what you were taught that is truth, but it doesn't resonate with your soul. And that's the thing is you got to figure out what resonates with your soul because that's not the only truth.
Well, what I find is interesting is when you do pick up a book like the Bible and you've been told that this whole chapter, you thought you knew exactly what this chapter was about. And then you go read it again. And then you kind of like block out what you thought you knew that meant, and you just receive it for yourself. It's totally different. But, if you've always been told that it's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, right? And you have never been told that that Holy Spirit is a mother.
Mhm.
Of course, why would there not be, right?
It
Hello,
says,
like father, mother, son, not just father and son and just some bird. It's been kept from us. So once you realize it, I mean, there's so many things like that. There's so
"Oh,
many things like that. You've been told this is what it means. I mean, I remember going through my ancestry and finding out, that I had like over 20%, African American. And I talked about this with my elders, which they were like, I don't think so. I mean, we're this, we're that. You could have told them they were purple and they would have believed they were purple if that's what they were told over generations.
It's a lie that gets told for protection most of the time to keep
Right.
yourself
For the
to
fear.
keep safe to for
Mhm.
safety and things like that. And then memories just get foggy, and even the way you perceived it versus the way it happened can feel different and things like
Right.
that. And so I think that when we're doing this deep work, I think going back and studying old things like you're talking about with old scripture, I think it's really important to take away like that. This is how I perceived it. 'Cause half the time they use just one little line from the
Yeah.
full script, then that's been misquoted for
Right.
eons.
Yeah.
But it's up to you if you want to study it or
Right.
not.
There's another narrative. There's
Yeah.
always going to be, like you said, if you have your own perspective on things. And I love that visiting and learning about the akashic can then bring that into your physical life.
Because the cool thing is because I know you're really into like studying different things and the gnostics and all that stuff. You can literally open your records and say, I want to study this. Help me open my eyes to a new perspective of this
Right.
scripture. And what do they actually mean? What does this actually mean? What does this mean to me? What is my responsibility to this? And why am I being guided to
Why? Right.
study this? And
Yeah.
you can just go down this rabbit hole. And for me, like I love the Vedas, I love Ayurveda, I love yoga philosophy. Like that's where like I really can start to geek out. My soul resonates and understands it. And that was my entry point. But everybody's entry point can be different. Like that was one of the yoga was the first thing that was like it saved me. Yoga saved me. And that was like one of the first things where I was like, I got an intuitive hit. I needed to go do hot yoga. And then like I dove into that world. And then I dove into dream interpretation and meditation and all these things. And when you find your things, they just click. And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have
No.
self-mastery like
True.
that, but they just click in with your soul.
Hmm.
And they feel like you're at home. And the
Yeah.
Akashic records make me feel at home. Yoga
That's
makes
you.
me feel at home. Meditation makes me feel at home.
Hmm.
And those things I think are really important because what you're doing is you're coming home to self.
Yeah. Me is my tree and my birds, right?
Yes.
Amy knows I always have bird stories. But Amy, I feel like your spirituality is very grounded. I feel like you have, is that like, can we use those two words together? You
Yeah.
have a grounded spirituality. Like you're not all woo-woo.
I like to take spirituality and make it make sense in our everyday world
Yep.
because
That's what we need to
while
do.
we can get into these weird conversations, why is that happening?
Right.
How does it help you in this particular time and dimension? Because otherwise, it's just noise.
It
And
is. You're so right.
for me, like there's certain conversations I can have with certain people, and then there's certain things, but you have to live in this world no matter what. Like
Right. That's
you,
what we're here for, right? To
you can't
experience this,
escape
to feel
it unless you want to escape it,
right.
and people escape it in different ways, but we
Yeah.
won't go down that rabbit hole. But like I think that I love spirituality, I love self-mastery, and it can be grounded in practical life. Like
I love that.
practical life. Because guess what? I can use the Akashic records to build my business. I can use my Akashic records to interpret this weird thing that just happened to me. And I can
Right.
also use my Akashic records to make myself dinner or figure out a color that makes me feel really good or figure out why maybe the color black makes me feel sad every time I put it on. Like that's
Right.
the thing that's fun about it.
That's what I love about today. This is what I'm finding today. It's like when I look back at spirituality from a Christian perspective, I'm like, man, these people are all love and light, just meditating and hippy dippy and on, mushrooms and all the things. But now it's evolved to bringing it into the norm I guess, if you want to call it the norm, but we can use it for our life daily. And I love that you said that. I just am like, I don't know why I always felt like it was almost too divine, like it was too special for it to be in my life. And that's my own hangups, right?
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
can be in your life and it gets to be in your life every day.
Wow. Yeah, it is. It's available.
Yeah.
So, can anybody learn to tap into their records, or is there some people that just I can't?
If someone's listening to this, they're ready. If it's very rare if someone's listening to something about the Akashic records that they're not. So
Well, in
typically if someone
4 months, I mean, that's very, dedicated.
yeah.
That's
Well, some
awesome.
people, so for me, like I have people that are like, this is the first time I ever heard about the Akashic records. I'm jumping in. Like I want to know about
Yeah,
this. This is my heart, this is my soul. And then I have people
follow it.
that have been waiting for the right teacher because
Hmm.
no teacher resonated with them, or they've been just waiting for the right time, either timing in their life for personal reasons or financial reasons. It just depends on what it is that they're doing. But the thing is like find the person that's right for you. I have a free master class, which is called Soul Evolution Masterclass Series. It's actually Soul Evolution Extravaganza Masterclass Series because we do 10 days and it's absolutely free.
Wow.
And we go through and we clear out ancestral stuff. We talk about how the Akashic records can help you manifest, how they can help you evolve. We clear money stories and things like that. Like the records are so multidimensional because they can hit every aspect in every area of your life, from wealth, money, finance, to relationships, to romance, to spirituality, to fun and leisure, to career slash business, like all the areas of your life they can help you with. You just got to come up with good questions. And that's where I come in because I'm always coming up with good questions. I love questions. I think they're so fun.
Well, I got a lot of questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to, you know what? I'll join you on your 10-day next. When's the next one?
It's going to be, it starts February 17th. And so just sign up and I think you'll have the link for them for that. It's 10 days is absolutely free. If you can't join the live, you can catch the replays. And we do a minimum of 5 different types of healings in the 10 days. And it's Monday through Friday. We take a break on the weekends. And then if you can't join, we have it all on one page. All the replays are on one page, so you can just watch them. And then we do a group Akashic record readings 2 of the days too, like where I just take calls and
Wow.
get on and the cool thing is like you don't even have to be live because we're doing it in a group setting. So if something resonates with you, it's for you. If
Yeah.
it's not for you, it's not for you. And you just leave behind the rest. And it's really cool watching like because some people will come up to me and be like, remember you told me that in my channel, so I don't remember everything. And sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. And they're like, yeah, that came true and that happened. And oh my God, that was so spot on. So it's always fun to see what occurs with those.
So, and then you do have the 4 month class, the master
Yeah,
class.
that's called Sacred Awakening, and that's the actual paid program. And then we usually do early bird discount on that. And we do payment plans and things like
That's
that.
cool.
So
And Amy, you are my go-to for Akashic Records. So you've been an affiliate, you're going to be an affiliate again 2025. I highly recommend you. And like I said, I love the fact that we're not just going to go into the records like woo woo to meet your guides and all this stuff. We're going to use this tool to bring it back to help you in your life.
yes, absolutely. And like we do deep work in the course as well, and we have fun. Like that's the
Yeah.
other thing is like it's not we just did deep work and we didn't have fun, that would be really heavy. And
Mhm.
so um for this, like I run the program twice a year. So if you guys are listening to this outside of this, know that if you ever want to join us, just message us and just tell me that you came from Shanna's podcast, so we know. And then I run it twice a year. One's always in February, March, and then the next one's usually, I think this year I'm going to do it in September, October in 2025. But at any point, if someone wants to join us ahead of time before that, like I always have people join self-study and then we just get them into the next round when it's live. But it's evolving and it's changing and the records are changing and things speeding up. And I just, I'm just excited to be a part of the change. And I'm sure like you get to, like you're a part of the change too, Shanna. Like there's so many things that are changing and it's fun though. It's so much
It
fun.
is fun, but I'm a Taurus and I'm like deeply rooted and I've never ever liked change.
That's
And
why we're friends. I'm an Aries and you're a
okay.
Taurus.
Yeah, I need to lighten up. Yeah. But the thing is that that mystery of what will come. There's fear that comes with that for me.
That's the cool thing about the Akashic records is like you can discover the root cause of what is causing the affliction or what's causing the pain or what's causing whatever. And you get to go to the root cause and clear it.
Mm,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's from this lifetime, sometimes it's from a previous life or a different timeline, or it's not even your stuff.
Likely it's not.
It's not even yours. So
Right.
give that stuff back.
I know. Return it. I like that. Amy, tell everybody where they could find you. I love to pop in on your lives on YouTube, but yeah, just plug yourself.
Yeah, it's you can go to theamyrobeson.com. That's TheAmyRobeson. And that's theamyrobeson.com. I'm also on YouTube, which is Amy Robeson. We have a weekly podcast, then we have a weekly live show on YouTube as well. So we have a recorded one that comes out every Monday, and then we have just random one throughout the week. And then you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, all those other things. So my podcast name is Awakening with Amy Robeson, but it's all on my website too. So it was so fun. Thank you for having me.
I know, anytime. All right, Amy, thank you so much for
Thank you so
coming
much.
on. I love.
Okay, have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Sense of soul.